It was the first morning of the new year. The city was quiet, as if it was taking a deep breath after a long night of celebrations. Fireworks had faded, streets were empty, and the cold air carried a strange mix of hope and loneliness. In a small corner of the city, near an old bus stop, sat a man wrapped in a torn blanket. His name was Ion. No one knew his story. To most people, he was just another homeless man, easy to ignore, easy to forget. But this new year was about to change everything. Across the road lived Sarah, a schoolteacher in her early 30s. She lived alone, not because she wanted to, but because life had taken too much from her too early. Her parents had passed away years ago, and the person she once loved had chosen success over her. On the outside, she looked strong. On the inside, she felt empty. That morning, Sarah stood by her window holding a cup of tea, watching the city wake up. Her eyes fell on Ion, shivering at the bus stop. She hesitated. Everyone hesitates at least once when kindness calls. She told herself, someone else will help. But something inside her whispered, what if no one does? She put on her coat and stepped outside. Sarah walked toward Ion slowly. He looked up, startled, as if kindness was something unfamiliar. Are you okay? She asked gently. Ion nodded, though his shaking hands told a different story. I brought you some tea, she said, handing him the warm cup. The first sip broke him. Tears rolled down his face, not loud, not dramatic, just silent tears of gratitude. He hadn't tasted warmth in days. Not from tea, and not from people. Thank you, he whispered. You don't know what this means. Sarah sat beside him on the cold bench. She didn't ask questions. She didn't judge. She just listened as Ion slowly opened up. Once, he had been a carpenter. Skilled, honest. He had a family, a small house, dreams. Then illness came. Medical bills followed. His wife passed away. His son was taken by relatives who blamed him for everything. With no money and no support, he lost his home, and then his place in the world. I didn't become homeless overnight, Ion said. I became invisible, little by little. Sarah felt tears in her own eyes. That day, she did something simple, but powerful. She gave him her scarf and wrote an address on a piece of paper. If you ever feel cold, or lost, she said, come here. Even if it's just for tea. She walked away thinking it was a small act. She was wrong. Days passed. Sarah kept bringing food. Sometimes Ion would be there. Sometimes not. But every time he saw her, his eyes carried a little more light. One evening, Sarah found him injured. Someone had beaten him for refusing to move from their spot. She took him to a nearby clinic and paid the bill without thinking. That night, she couldn't sleep. Why does the world punish the kind-hearted? She wondered. The next morning, Sarah posted Ion's story on social media, not for sympathy, but for awareness. She shared his skills, his past, his dignity. The post went viral. People started noticing Ion, not as a homeless man, but as a human being. A local cafe owner offered him food. A tailor gave him clean clothes. A carpenter saw the post and offered him work. But the biggest surprise came a week later. A well-dressed young man approached Ion near the cafe. He stared at him for a long moment, eyes trembling. Papa, he whispered. It was his son. Years of anger melted into tears. The boy had grown up believing lies, that his father had abandoned him. Social media had reunited what pain had torn apart. Father and son hugged like time had stopped. Sarah watched from a distance, crying openly. These were the tears of kindness, not of pain, but of healing. With a job, a place to stay, and his son back, Ion slowly rebuilt his life. He moved into a small room, bought tools, started working again. Months later, on another cold morning, Sarah passed by the bus stop. It was empty, but on the bench was a small note. Dear Sarah, you didn't just give me tea. You gave me a reason to live. Because of you, I am no longer invisible. I will spend the rest of my life doing for others what you did for me. Ion. Sarah smiled through tears. That year, the city didn't just celebrate New Year with fireworks. It celebrated it with humanity. Because sometimes, one cup of tea, one moment of kindness, and one brave heart, can change the world.